Anna, at the tender age of 20, was someone still discovering what life outside her small town felt like. Her recent move to stay with her older sister, Maria, and brother-in-law, Tom, in the city was supposed to be a fresh start, an escape into a world where the possibilities seemed boundless. Each night, the thin walls of the guest room whispered secrets of intimacy between Maria and Tom. Anna couldn't help but feel a mixture of envy and intrigue. Their love was palpable, filling the house with a warmth that Anna longed to understand and experience. It was a stark contrast to the quiet loneliness that often accompanied her during the night. One weekend, Maria planned a trip to visit their mother in another town. It was a sudden plan, driven by news of their mother's mild illness. Anna chose to stay back, citing a mountain of assignments waiting to be tackled. But deep down, she felt an unexplained thrill at the opportunity to spend time alone with Tom. The evening found Anna and Tom sharing drinks, laughter spilling easily between them, a playlist of classic rock humming softly in the background. The alcohol seemed to dissolve the boundaries of their usually formal interaction, and Tom's stories grew more personal, his smiles more frequent. As the night deepened, Anna found herself crossing a line she had only imagined in fleeting, guilty thoughts. Tom, equally lost in the blurred edges of intoxication and loneliness, reciprocated. It was a moment of reckless abandon, a stark deviation from the values she held close. The morning after was heavy with silence and unspoken questions. Anna's initial rush of happiness was quickly clouded by a complex storm of guilt and confusion. She had betrayed Maria, the sister who had always been her closest confidant and friend. In the days that followed, Anna wrestled with her emotions. She watched Tom and Maria, noticing the unchanged affection between them, and it stung with a fresh intensity each time. The secret weighed heavily on her, a constant reminder of a momentary lapse that cost her much more than she could have anticipated. The realization dawned on Anna that some lines, once crossed, redefine relationships forever. She needed to make amends, but the path to redemption was fraught with the risk of unraveling the lives of those she loved most. The decision lay heavy in her hands, a pending confession that might either heal or destroy everything her sister had built. Anna's journey forward was uncertain, but she knew it had to begin with honesty, no matter the consequences. Anna had always looked up to her older sister, Maria. When Maria offered her the chance to stay with her and her husband, Tom, in the bustling city, Anna eagerly accepted, hoping to broaden her horizons beyond the confines of their quiet hometown. The city was a canvas of lights and sounds, and living with Maria and Tom, she hoped, would also teach her about love and relationships, observing a marriage she always admired. The intimacy between Maria and Tom was something Anna couldn't ignore. Night after night, whispers and laughter seeped through the thin walls of her room, painting pictures of a perfect union. Anna's heart longed for such a connection, and she felt a complex mix of admiration and envy. When Maria announced she was visiting their mother to take care of her during a brief illness, Anna's initial reaction was to go with her. However, Maria insisted Anna should stay and focus on her studies. Secretly, Anna was relieved. She was curious about the life Maria led, about the man she lived with. She wondered what it would be like to be Maria, even if just for a weekend. That night, as Anna and Tom sat across from each other with glasses of wine, the atmosphere was unusually relaxed. Tom, more talkative and open than usual, shared stories of his travels and his early days with Maria. The alcohol loosened Anna's tongue as well, and she found herself laughing a bit too loudly, leaning in a bit too close. As the hours passed, the conversation turned deeper, more personal. Tom confessed how much he missed Maria already, how the house felt empty without her laughter. Anna saw a vulnerability in Tom she hadn't noticed before. When he refilled her glass once again, she didn't say no. The moment it happened, it felt like stepping out of reality, surreal and distant. Anna knew it was wrong, but the loneliness and desire masked by alcohol made it easy to ignore the voice in her head. Tom's touch, hesitant at first, grew more confident, as if he too was starved for affection. When dawn crept through the curtains, the gravity of their actions settled in. Anna woke up to a silent house, the echoes of last night's mistake heavy in the air. She watched Tom, his features drawn with regret as he avoided her gaze. The following days were a maze of awkward encounters and silent meals. Anna could barely look Maria in the eyes when she returned, her heart heavy with guilt. Every smile, every touch she witnessed between the couple was a reminder of the line she had crossed. She realized that in one fleeting night, she had risked years of trust and love. Anna was tormented by her decision on how to move forward. Confessing could shatter her sister's marriage. Keeping it a secret could corrode her own sanity. Yet, in the depths of her turmoil, Anna knew that honesty was the only path that offered any chance for redemption. Her confession, a risky plunge into the unknown, was necessary, not just for Maria's sake, but for her own peace. Anna's future was uncertain, filled with the potential for both forgiveness and irreparable rifts. But she knew she had to face the consequences of that night, hoping that the bonds of sisterhood were strong enough to withstand even the harshest truths. Anna had always admired her older sister, Maria. Growing up, Maria was the one who blazed the trail, always leading with confidence and grace. When Maria married Tom, a man who seemed to embody everything Anna hoped to find in a partner, Anna felt a deep sense of pride and admiration. Their marriage was a picture of stability and love, and Anna often found herself dreaming of the day she would find a love as profound and comforting. When Maria invited Anna to live with them in the city, it felt like a dream come true. The bustling metropolis offered Anna opportunities she never had back in their small town, new friends, new experiences, and, most importantly, a chance to see up close what a healthy, loving relationship looked like. Living with Maria and Tom was like stepping into a life she had only seen in movies. The couple's home was warm and welcoming, filled with laughter and shared moments that made Anna feel like she was part of something beautiful. Yet, as much as she loved being around them, there was also a gnawing sense of isolation that crept in when she was alone. Every night, as she lay in the guest room, the walls seemed to amplify the sounds of intimacy between Maria and Tom. It wasn't just the physical closeness she overheard, it was the tenderness in their voices, the shared jokes, the easy comfort of two people deeply in love. Anna would pull the covers over her head, trying to block out the sounds that made her heart ache with longing. She felt a strange mix of emotions: envy, admiration, and a growing curiosity about what it would be like to be the object of such affection. When Maria announced that she needed to visit their mother for a few days, Anna was surprised by the flicker of excitement that sparked within her. It wasn't that she wanted Maria to leave, but the idea of spending time alone with Tom was intriguing. She told herself it was harmless, just a chance to get to know her brother-in-law better. After all, Tom was practically family. The first night without Maria was quieter than usual. The house, normally filled with Maria's presence, felt emptier, more hollow. Anna and Tom decided to have dinner together, a simple meal that Maria had prepared before she left. The conversation flowed easily, starting with light topics like work and gradually moving into more personal territory. Tom shared stories from his college days, and Anna found herself laughing more freely than she had in a long time. After dinner, Tom suggested they open a bottle of wine. Anna hesitated for a moment but quickly agreed, convincing herself that it was just a way to unwind after a long week. As they sipped their wine, the atmosphere grew more relaxed, the usual boundaries between them blurring in the dim light of the living room. Tom's stories became more personal, touching on his feelings of loneliness when Maria was away and his struggles with the pressures of work. Anna listened intently, her heart softening toward him. She saw a different side of Tom, one that was vulnerable and in need of comfort. The more he opened up, the more Anna felt a connection to him, a connection that began to feel dangerously intimate. The second bottle of wine was opened, and by then, both Anna and Tom were tipsy. The conversation had shifted from memories to feelings, from light-hearted banter to something deeper and more complicated. Tom mentioned how much he appreciated Anna being there, how she brought a new energy into the house. Anna blushed, flattered by his words, but also aware of the dangerous territory they were treading. As the night wore on, the distance between them on the couch seemed to shrink. Anna found herself leaning closer to Tom, her heart racing as she wondered what it would feel like to be held by him, to be the one he whispered to in the dark. The thought was intoxicating, fueled by the wine and the emotions she had been suppressing for so long. And then, in a moment that felt both inevitable and surreal, Tom reached out and touched her hand. It was a simple gesture, but it sent a jolt through Anna, igniting a fire she had been trying to ignore. She looked up at Tom, and in his eyes, she saw the same longing, the same confusion. The first kiss was tentative, as if both were testing the waters, unsure of whether to dive in or pull back. But once the line was crossed, there was no going back. The night unfolded in a blur of passion and guilt, a heady mix of emotions that left Anna breathless and overwhelmed. When the morning light streamed through the windows, Anna woke with a start. The reality of what had happened hit her like a wave, crashing down with the weight of her actions. Tom was already up, moving about the house with a nervous energy, avoiding her gaze. The silence between them was deafening, filled with the unspoken truth of what they had done. Anna's heart ached with regret as she watched Tom, her mind racing with thoughts of Maria. How could she face her sister now? The thought of Maria returning, of seeing the love and trust in her eyes, made Anna feel sick with guilt. She had crossed a line that should never have been crossed, and there was no way to undo what had been done. In the days that followed, Anna struggled with the weight of her secret. She tried to act normal, to pretend that nothing had changed, but every moment spent with Maria was a painful reminder of her betrayal. She couldn't look at Tom without feeling a surge of shame, and every smile from Maria felt like a knife twisting in her heart. The guilt consumed Anna, making it impossible to focus on anything else. She knew she couldn't keep the secret forever, but the thought of confessing terrified her. She imagined the look on Maria's face, the hurt and anger that would undoubtedly follow. It would shatter their relationship, destroy the trust they had built over a lifetime. Yet, Anna knew she couldn't live with the lie. The weight of it was too much to bear, and the longer she kept it hidden, the more it ate away at her. She realized that the only way to move forward was to be honest, no matter how painful it would be. One evening, when Maria was sitting in the living room, laughing at something on TV, Anna knew it was time. Her heart pounded as she walked over and sat down beside her sister, her hands trembling. Maria turned to her with a smile, completely unaware of the storm that was about to break. "Maria," Anna began, her voice shaking, "I need to tell you something." Maria's smile faded as she saw the seriousness in Anna's eyes. "What is it, Anna? You look like you've seen a ghost." Anna took a deep breath, the words catching in her throat. "It's about the weekend you were gone. When you were visiting Mom." Maria's expression grew concerned, and she reached out to take Anna's hand. "What happened? Did something go wrong?" Anna felt tears welling up in her eyes as she struggled to find the words. I made a mistake, Maria. A terrible mistake. I was with Tom. It just happened, and I don't know how to explain it, but I needed to tell you." Maria's face went pale, her eyes widening in shock. She pulled her hand away from Anna's, her breath catching in her throat. "What do you mean, Anna? You were with Tom? What are you saying?" Anna broke down, unable to hold back the tears any longer. "I'm so sorry, Maria. I never meant for it to happen. We were drinking, and things got out of hand. I hate myself for it, but I couldn't keep it from you." Maria sat frozen, her mind racing as she tried to process the words. She looked at Anna, her sister who she had always trusted, always loved, and felt a deep, searing pain. The room seemed to close in around her as the reality of what Anna was saying sank in. "How could you do this?" Maria whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "How could you betray me like this?" Anna sobbed, her heart breaking as she saw the hurt in Maria's eyes. "I wish I could take it back, Maria. I would do anything to make it right. But I knew I had to tell you, even if it means losing everything." Maria stood up abruptly, her hands shaking as she tried to control the flood of emotions. She turned away from Anna, unable to look at her, her mind spinning with thoughts of Tom, of their marriage, of the life they had built together. It all felt like it was unraveling before her eyes. "I need time," Maria finally said, her voice cold and distant. "I need to think about this, about everything. I can't talk to you right now." Anna nodded, her heart shattering as she watched Maria walk away. She knew there was no easy way out of this, no way to undo the damage she had caused. The path ahead was uncertain, and Anna could only hope that somehow, in time, they might find a way to heal. As Anna sat alone in the living room, the echoes of her mistake reverberated in the silence, a haunting reminder of the price she had paid for one night of reckless abandon. The journey to forgiveness, both from Maria and from herself, would be long and difficult, but Anna knew it was the only way forward. Maria's footsteps echoed down the hallway as she retreated to her bedroom, leaving Anna alone in the living room, the air thick with the tension of their conversation. Anna's mind raced, trying to grasp the reality of what had just happened. The weight of her confession had left her feeling hollow, as if all the warmth and joy had been sucked out of the room, leaving behind only the cold, stark truth of her betrayal. Tom returned home later that evening, unaware of the bombshell that had been dropped. Anna could barely look at him as he walked through the door, his usual warm greeting falling flat as he noticed the strained atmosphere. "Is everything okay?" Tom asked, sensing the tension. Anna avoided his gaze, her heart pounding in her chest. "Maria knows," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Tom's face paled, and he stumbled slightly as if the words had physically hit him. "What do you mean she knows?" he asked, his voice tense with fear. "I told her," Anna replied, tears welling up in her eyes again. "I couldn't keep it a secret, Tom. I had to tell her the truth." Tom sank into the nearest chair, his hands running through his hair as he tried to process the situation. He had known this day might come, but he wasn't prepared for the reality of it. The betrayal was now out in the open, and there was no going back. "What did she say?" he asked quietly, his voice filled with dread. "She's hurt, Tom. She's devastated. She asked for time to think, but I don't know what's going to happen," Anna replied, her voice trembling. Tom buried his face in his hands, the weight of his actions crashing down on him. He had made a terrible mistake, one that could cost him everything he held dear. The thought of losing Maria, the woman he had vowed to love and cherish, filled him with a deep, gnawing fear. "We need to talk to her together," Tom finally said, his voice steady but laced with desperation. "We need to face this together and try to find a way to move forward." Anna nodded, though her heart was heavy with doubt. She wasn't sure there was a way forward, not after the betrayal they had committed. But she knew that they had to try, for Maria's sake, if nothing else. The next few days were a blur of painful silence and awkward avoidance. Maria stayed mostly in her room, emerging only when necessary, her face a mask of controlled emotion. Anna tried to give her space, but the tension in the house was suffocating. Every moment felt like a ticking time bomb, waiting for the inevitable explosion. Finally, one evening, Maria called both Anna and Tom into the living room. The three of them sat in silence for a few agonizing moments, the air thick with unspoken words. Maria's face was calm, but her eyes were red-rimmed, evidence of the tears she had shed in private. "I've thought about what you told me, Anna," Maria began, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. "And I've decided that I need some time away from both of you. I need to clear my head and figure out what I want moving forward." Anna felt a pang of fear at Maria's words, but she knew that her sister needed space. "I understand, Maria," she replied softly. "Take all the time you need." Tom nodded in agreement, his face a mask of regret. "We're so sorry, Maria." I never meant for this to happen, and I'll do whatever it takes to make things right. Maria looked at Tom, her expression unreadable. I don't know if there is a way to make this right, Tom. You broke my trust in the worst possible way, and I'm not sure if I can ever forgive that. Tom's face fell, and he looked down at the floor, unable to meet Maria's gaze. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of everything that had been lost. I'm going to stay with a friend for a while, Maria continued, her voice firm. I need some distance to think about what I want and whether or not I can move past this. I suggest you both do the same. Anna felt a wave of sorrow wash over her, but she knew that Maria was right. They all needed time to reflect on what had happened and to figure out where they stood. The future was uncertain, but Anna knew that she had to face the consequences of her actions, no matter how painful they might be. Maria left the next morning, packing a small suitcase and leaving the house without a word. As Anna watched her sister walk out the door, she felt a deep sense of loss, knowing that things would never be the same between them. The days that followed were lonely and filled with regret. Anna spent most of her time in her room, replaying the events of that fateful night over and over in her mind. She wished she could turn back time, undo what had been done, but she knew that was impossible. The damage had been done, and now she had to live with the consequences. Tom tried to reach out to Maria, but his calls and messages went unanswered. He was left in limbo, unsure of whether his marriage could be saved or if it was already too late. The guilt and shame weighed heavily on him, and he struggled to find a way forward. Anna knew that she needed to make a decision about her own future. She couldn't stay in the house any longer, not with the memories of what had happened haunting her every day. She decided to move back to their hometown, hoping that the familiar surroundings would bring her some sense of peace. Before she left, Anna wrote Maria a letter, pouring her heart out onto the page. She apologized again for what had happened, expressing her deep regret and sorrow for the pain she had caused. She told Maria that she loved her and that she hoped, one day, they could find a way to mend their relationship, even if it would never be the same. Anna left the letter on Maria's pillow, hoping that it would reach her sister when she returned. As she closed the door to the house behind her, she felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. She was leaving behind a chapter of her life that had ended in tragedy, but she hoped that by moving forward, she could find a way to heal. Back in her hometown, Anna tried to pick up the pieces of her life. She reconnected with old friends, threw herself into her studies, and tried to rebuild her sense of self. But the guilt and regret never fully left her. It was a shadow that followed her, a constant reminder of the line she had crossed and the trust she had betrayed. Months passed, and Anna heard little from Maria. The silence was painful, but she respected her sister's need for space. She hoped that, in time, Maria would be able to forgive her, but she knew that forgiveness was not something that could be rushed or demanded. Then, one day, Anna received a letter in the mail. It was from Maria. Her heart pounded as she opened the envelope, her hands trembling slightly. The letter was short, but it brought tears to Anna's eyes. Anna, the letter began, I've read your letter, and I appreciate your honesty. I won't lie. What happened hurt me deeply, and it will take time for me to heal. But you are my sister, and despite everything, I still love you. I'm not ready to see you yet, but I want you to know that I'm working on forgiving you, for both our sakes. I hope, in time, we can rebuild our relationship. Until then, take care of yourself. Anna clutched the letter to her chest, tears streaming down her face. It wasn't a full reconciliation, but it was a start. Maria was willing to try, and that was more than Anna had dared to hope for. The road to forgiveness would be long and difficult, but Anna was determined to walk it, one step at a time. She knew that she had made a terrible mistake, but she also knew that she couldn't let that mistake define the rest of her life. She would do everything in her power to make amends, to rebuild the trust she had broken, and to prove to Maria that she was worthy of her forgiveness. As Anna looked out at the familiar landscape of her hometown, she felt a glimmer of hope. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, she believed that it held the possibility of healing, of redemption, and maybe even of a new beginning. As the months turned into a year, Anna slowly rebuilt her life in the small town she once called home. The familiar surroundings, old friendships, and the comforting routine of her studies helped her find a sense of stability. But no matter how much time passed, the weight of her mistake lingered, a constant reminder of the rift she had caused between herself and her sister. Maria's letter had been a lifeline for Anna, offering a glimmer of hope that their relationship might one day be restored. Anna wrote back to Maria regularly, sharing updates about her life and expressing her continued remorse. Maria's replies were sparse, but they were there, small steps toward healing. Tom, on the other hand, remained a distant figure. Anna had no contact with him after she left the city, respecting the space that Maria needed. She often wondered what had become of their marriage, whether Maria had found it in her heart to forgive Tom as well, or if the betrayal had been too much for their relationship to survive. Then, one day, out of the blue, Anna received a phone call from Maria. The sound of her sister's voice after so long felt both familiar and strange, a mix of the past and the uncertain present. "Anna," Maria began, her tone calm and steady, "I've been thinking a lot about everything. About us, about what happened, and about the future." Anna held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "Maria, Let me finish," Maria interrupted gently. "I've had a lot of time to process everything, and I've come to a decision. I want to move forward, but I can't do that while holding on to all this pain. I need to let go of the anger, for my own sake." Anna felt tears welling up in her eyes. "Maria, I can't tell you how sorry I am. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you so much." "I know," Maria said softly. "And I love you too. That's why I want to try to rebuild our relationship. It won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight, but I believe we can find a way back to each other." Anna's tears fell freely now, a mix of relief and overwhelming emotion. "Thank you, Maria. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I promise I'll do everything I can to make things right." Maria paused for a moment before continuing. "Tom and I have decided to separate. We've realized that too much has changed, and we can't go back to the way things were. But I'm okay with it, Anna. It's the right decision for both of us." Anna's heart ached at the news, but she understood. "I'm so sorry, Maria. I never wanted this to happen. I know you didn't, Maria replied. But it's time for all of us to move on. I'm moving back to the city to start fresh, and I'd like to visit you soon. I think it would be good for us to spend some time together, to begin healing. I'd love that, Anna said, her voice filled with emotion. I want nothing more than to see you and to start over. Maria's voice softened. We'll take it one step at a time, Anna. We'll figure it out together. As the call ended, Anna felt a deep sense of gratitude and hope. The journey to forgiveness had been long and painful, but it had brought them to this moment, a chance to mend what had been broken and to rebuild their bond. A few weeks later, Maria arrived in their hometown. The sisters embraced at the train station, holding on to each other for a long time, as if making up for the months of distance and silence. The pain of the past still lingered, but so did the love they shared. Over the next few days, they talked, laughed, and cried together. They revisited old memories, creating new ones in the process. It wasn't easy, but they were committed to healing, to moving forward with a renewed understanding of the strength of their sisterhood. As Maria prepared to leave for her new life in the city, she and Anna stood together on the front porch of their childhood home, the sun setting in the distance. There was a sense of closure in the air, a feeling that they had both reached a turning point. Anna, Maria said, turning to her sister, no matter what happens, we'll always be family. We'll always have each other. Anna smiled, her heart full. Thank you, Maria, for giving us this chance. They hugged one last time, a promise of a future that, while uncertain, was filled with the possibility of healing and growth. As Maria drove away, Anna watched until the car disappeared from view, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. The journey had been difficult, filled with mistakes and heartache, but it had also taught Anna the value of forgiveness, the importance of honesty, and the enduring strength of family. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them, one step at a time, with her sister by her side. And as the evening settled into the quiet of the night, Anna took a deep breath, knowing that this was not the end, but rather a new beginning, one filled with hope, understanding, and the unbreakable bond of sisterhood.